set of the VAT knowledge. The first, you must be familiar with yourself with the theory. Like if I ask you on the road, what is the penalty of charging the penalty of the late filing of the VAT? Utaniambia ni ngapi?
It's 20,000.
Yeah. The penalty for late filing of the VAT.
Yes.
20,000, and then you'll have to do the research. It is 10,000. And then that is the constant 10,000 or 5% of the outstanding amount, whichever is high. For example, maybe I can share Excel.
So 20,000 pay.
Yeah, 20,000 pay. So if you have like 200,000, which is, or let's say 500,000, even a million. We have other companies, they pay millions per month. I remember when I working some time back in the manufacturing industry, we used to pay around millions every month. So assuming this is the VAT payable.
Yeah.
VAT payable, and then Friday, it is date, Saturday, it is date 19, ukaisahau kufile, ukaenda kwa nyumba, Monday ndio unakumbuka, ama ukakumbuka usiku the VAT ilikuwa ifailiwe jana, so utapata your salary zako zitaanza kuwa deducted, because the carrier, they will say, okay, let's take the 5% of this outstanding amount or the payable amount, they will get it is 150,000, and the set limit. And the set limit is 10,000.
Yeah.
10,000. So you're going to pay the higher amount, which is 150,000.
Yeah.
150,000. So if they are going to, they will going to deduct this 150 from your salaries. Like now you take a loan, which it will not help you.
Yeah.
So you also need to know the penalties and the deadlines. You also need to understand the deadlines, which is 20th on the following month. Yes, on the following month. So these are some of the theories. If you go to an interview, they normally ask, is my theories. So 20th of the following month is a deadline of filing. Now, so are all the business vatable?
No.
So if you are to give me the guidelines, assuming I'm a non-accountant, so ungenipea which, nikikuuliza are all the business vatable, ukaniambia no, then utanipea which reason?
Because we have those some which are exempted, like education.
We have exempted or exemption, yes. Which like education, public sector, and all that. Another reason, that is the one reason.
And the ones that are zero rated.
Zero rated is VAT.
Oh, okay. It's VAT, yes.
I
don't know.
Now, I don't want now you give me a general reason. Assuming you are advising a private limited company. A private limited company has contacted you to offer them a consultancy service. And then now they go and ask you this kind of a question. Atakwambia, do we need to register for the VAT? Because they will ask you. So one reason is that as per the VAT Act, every company who is making a turnover of 5 million per annum is required to register for VAT. For VAT, it is a mandatory. It is a mandatory for them. So even if the KRA comes and realize that you have been making a turnover of 5 million for the past 5 years, but you want now to register, or you have just registered your VAT. So what will happen? They will backdate back that registration date to the year you started making a turnover of 5 million per year, and then they will have to give you the penalty for the late filing, and also the charge for the criminal offense, because it's a criminal offense, and also you have to pay the principal VAT amount for all those period. So that's why all these principles theory, they are good, especially if you want to venture into a consultancy based business. And then another option is a voluntary registration, a voluntary registration. You just say that I've been purchasing goods which are vatable, but I don't claim this input tax. So how can I claim this input tax? Then you will say, and then I have to register for VAT, but as a voluntary. You maybe your turnover is fluctuating every month, but it is just a voluntary.
Okay.
So ukisha meet this requirement, what now, or what do you need? Ukisha meet easy, maybe you have made a 5 million turnover or a voluntary, then what else do you need? You need now to be issuing a tax invoice. A tax invoice. Currently, most of the times I use it tunaita e-teams invoice.
Yeah.
E-teams invoice. So we have so many ways of generating an e-teams invoice. Number one, you can use your own system. Like if the company is using QuickBook, then you can use QuickBook. If the other companies, they don't use QuickBooks, they use Sage Law, then you can do the integration so that once you raise an invoice, it will pick as an e-teams invoice. If you don't have those system, like company, they have not invested much in the system, then you can use the KRA website or the e-team site to generate a tax invoice. For example, if I log in to my browser here, and then just say e-teams, that get the first one, e-teams taxpayer portal. You will get this e-teams portal for the carrier. So you use the any pin, pick this pin, you log in. So you get a dashboard like this. So you have the stock section, and also you have the item management. Item management is where you register the items here. And then once you register the items, it's like a accounting system also. You register an item. Once you register, you go to the transaction section. So if you go to transaction section, you can be able to raise a sales receipt. Sales receipt is just an e-teams invoice. So once you raise that, you can be able now to download. So I want to download a sample of a tax invoice so that whenever you taking any task for the VAT, you know what is required. Then utaenda kwa sales. Let's get a sample invoice. For example, this one, I can click receipt number here to download a sample e-teams. So this is an e-teams invoice or a tax invoice. Currently, most of the tax invoices, they have this code. The more important is to have this code. So if you find a tax receipt without this code, then that is not a tax invoice. It will not allow you to validate. They have also restricted their website iTax so that is such a way that you cannot just upload any invoice so long as if it has you say it has the tax amount, then I'll have to upload this one. No, it must have gone through the e-teams process, which ukipata any invoice you must scan. Even on your side, ukiscan e-code, itakupeleka kwa details e-invoice. So if you go to your, so most of the time we advise accountants, ukipata an invoice, you scan that code, you check whether it has been validated here. Because kama ijakuwa validated, then you will lose this tax. And tutapata boss atakupigia kelele, tulinunua vitu nyingi last month, why are we paying more VAT? But because of your ignorance au scan hizi code ukajua if this invoice has been validated. You realize other invoices, they don't have this code. They don't have this code. So if they don't have this code, they only have the CU invoice number, this one.
Yes.
Invoice number, if they don't have this code. So you can use also this CU number to verify whether this invoice has been submitted to the Kenya Revenue Authority. You just need to go to the iTax. My site go up. Just need to go to the iTax. From there, Kenya Revenue. Yeah, so if you go to the iTax section, there is this section, invoice number checker. This section, invoice number checker. So you click here, it will ask you the CU number or the invoice number. So you will copy the CU number. CU number will go up. Yeah, this one. So I will copy this CU number. Control C. Paste here. Then say validate. So you can see if you validate, you will get the detail of the invoice number. So that is another procedure. So you make sure that if the company is vatable, all the issued sales invoice, they must be validated for that period. All the purchases you are receiving, they must have been validated by the supplier so that you can be able to do your VAT at the end of the month. So that is another like a system or a procedure, ICS internal controls, you should not. So ukishajua hizo all procedures, hizo vitu zote, and then now next thing is just organizing your files, organizing your files. If the company have the QuickBook, it is well and good for you to organize data for filings. If they don't have the system, then you will be recording on a manual basis. You have to have your Excel sheet where you record the date, the invoice number, description, the net amount, VAT, and the gross amount, so that at the end, you'll have a list of your total sales. You'll also do the same with the purchases. At the end of it, you will compare with what has been populated with the iTax. Kuna what is called the autopopulated. Based on this e-team invoice, once you raise that one, it's normally sent to the Kenya Revenue Authority, which you find it in autopopulation section. So any questions hapo ama any clarification unataka kujua from there before we move to the next?
Okay, so with the autopopulation, you mean once you key in the tax invoice, all the information about that, the invoice.
Yeah, so you see,
will be populated, so yeah.
So you see this data we have searched from the iTax portal,
Yes.
and we found this description or this data, this information.
Yes.
So once you raise an e-team invoice, all the information will be populated in the iTax or the Kenya Revenue website.
Okay.
Yes, and also with this autopopulation, you need to know the challenges with this autopopulation. One is that sales, you cannot You cannot amend. You cannot amend downward.
Okay.
That is one challenge. They only allow you to amend upward. Yeah, upward. So which means you have also to be keen in terms of the cash flow management of the company. So unapata the company wamekuja maybe wakapata one sales in 1 month. Mtu akakuja akaambia we need a sales of 10 million, right? And then 10 million, they are not going to pay immediately on cash basis. On cash basis, maybe this 10 million, they are going to pay in a month of duration of 6 months. A duration of 6 months. So if they are going to pay in a duration of 6 months and they want an ETIPS invoice of 10 million immediately, and then you have to advise them that we will not give you an exact invoice over 10 million at the moment because of our cash flow problem. Because if you take 16% of 10 million, itakuja ngapi?
160.
160,000. Mbona iko kidogo?
Yeah. 1.6.
See,
1.6.
ni 16 million ama 1.6?
I think 1.6.
Yeah, 10 million.
They're removing 1.0.
Yeah, 1.6. So you see, you have to pay a VAT of 1.6 1.6 million. And assuming the company is a service industry, remember a service industry company, they don't have a lot of purchases, unlike a production company or the manufacturing company. So now for you to have to offset this 1.6 million, which you have to pay, you need to have around like 20 million purchases, right? Because these 20 million purchases can give you around 1.8 or 3. Yeah, something which is more than what you have to pay. So you say you have to have a lot of purchases. Then remember, once you raise that invoice, you cannot amend downward. The system will tell you, kindly declare a total sales of 10 million. And if you don't pay, now you will have accept the penalty for the deadline, but now you will not accept the interest. Remember, they charge 1% of the interest on the due amount. So I think every month, they'll have to accrue 1% of this amount. So you need to, so in such a case, you just need to tell them that we will give you on a prorata, or we'll give you a pro forma invoice, and that these sales we'll just need to do on a prorata basis. Maybe we just raise a bit by bit based on the cash flow position. So it's also a challenge. Another thing is that you cannot put another invoice, just any invoice, to offset this amount, because it will not allow. They only accept whatever it is in auto-populated sheet.
Okay.
That is the challenge, yeah. But on the side of
the invoice.
Yes. So on the side of the company, it is very challenging, but on the side of the accountants, it make work easier. You don't need to struggle with getting a lot of data. You only need to get auto-populated, compare with what you have in the system, and then file. So unapata mostly before tulikuwa tunasumbuana na wenye kampuni, tumelipa tax nyingi, we had this one, you have to do a lot of fictitious figures, but nowadays we don't have that. So ukishajua all those information, and then you'll have to do. Yes.
Can I ask now, in this case where the sales you did, you were saying you issue them an invoice on pro rata. So is it that you issue an invoice once they pay? If, like, let's say the first month they pay 5 million, you'll invoice them for that amount only.
Yes. Yes. So first
So that's what you will declare.
give the pro forma on the entire invoice amount that now you will issue. Once they paid, you raise a tax
You
invoice.
raise an invoice.
And to that, what these interns people they do? How if you have ever do the business with Waindi, then they don't give you a tax invoice if you have not paid. So what they do, you send them a quotation. They give you a pro forma invoice. They give you a pro forma invoice. You come, you write a check. Then they will wait until your check mature. Then to pay a tax invoice.
Okay.
But kama company iko na cash flow, then you don't mind, you just raise the sales.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So now the next step now is the ukifile. The first thing, these are the steps ukifanya filings of VAT. Number one, you make sure that your sales ledger is up to date. Your sales ledger, you make sure that all the invoices has been posted in the sales ledger account. For example, if we're using a sales ledger account, if we go to like let's check for ZO, we'll be using a ZO. Just a minute. For example, this is one of our clients, ZO. So if you go to the accounting system ZO, and any accounting system you're using, if you go to reports and then get the trial balance, it depends with the system you are using. ZO is poor in sales in report for accounting. QuickBook is so much easier for reporting. So the period is for the last month. You go to this one, you na input na output. So for example, we are checking for the sales, which is the output VAT. So you see the output VAT for the last month is coming to 227,860. So if you click this, you will find this is the ledger of our sales for the last month. So this is what you have in your accounting system. It depends which accounting system you have. You must have this as a sales ledger. This is your sales ledger. Yeah. So this is what you have in your system. You will have now to compare with what has been populated for that period. So you realize this invoice might be here in this period, but this invoice has not been populated to the ITAX. So either then you'll have to change to the period yenye wataivalidate, ama you give us a reconciliation on Excel that these invoices have not been populated, so that ukimpea mtu report anajua why is it that we have a VAT of 288, 248 in the system and we have 300 in the auto-populated. So you have to give them that report. So if you export this data, then you realize you have it you export and save it in the folder. So another thing is that you need to arrange your Excels or your files in such a way that you can easily access, or even someone, if you are working as an account assistant and there is someone you are reporting to, you must arrange your folders in such a way that even that senior accountant can, if he or she can log into your machine, he can be able to access the data, the accounting data. Seti unapata umesave tu eneo kwa desktop ujui iko wapi, so you must arrange your folder. If you have the folder for the bank reconciliation, you must have their invoices, payroll, the VAT, the withholding, so that it will bring the the files to be in order so that you can easily access even for you. So if we go to this tab, you can see how I have arranged these files. Nikona for all the months, and then also you can see the arrangement here. I can't even check for the January because it's a VAT sometime umesha file but utapata kuna some errors, kuna some nini that you will get a lot of report from the KRA. You need to do amendment, you need to do this. Na assuming how save your files, ulifile na ukatupa hizo. So utajua why am I amending this one? So you don't have any attaching supporting document. So if we go to this April, you'll find that this is my sales ledger. You can see how I normally arrange. It depends. I'm gonna 2504. 25 is the year and 04 is the month. So it means it is for the month of April. So if you open, then you will find this is the data I've just extracted from the zone. So this is a sales ledger. This is a sales ledger, which is and also what I need to have in the sales ledger is what is more important is the CU number. CU number is the invoice number, not the company invoice number, but the e-team's invoice number, this one.
Yes.
Remember, even QuickBook, they have their own invoice number, but they have also the CU number. So you can see this one, this is the company system invoice number, but this one is not much interested because we cannot use this one to file the return. We only use this one, CU number, CU number. So once you have this data, the next steps, number 2 is to download autopopulated data. So let's say I copy this because this one is for just for the reconciliation purpose. In a new worksheet, yeah. So I rename this and say this is the ledger. So I will have now to have the autopopulated data here. Let's say autopop. Then so for autopopulated, you have to log into the iTax. You have to log into the iTax. So we just come to the iTax here. iTax. The first option ndio tunatumia ku log in. And then you put the PIN of the company. Can I use PIN of the company? You must also have to know the of it. Save in a browser. Save in a browser. So you make sure that you normally, once you log in, classic, log in, unaandika the KRA PIN and unaandika the password so that it stick. The reason why I'm saying this, utapata you're working as an assistant or someone and then boss anakupigia tu, maybe ako kwa meeting ya KRA na nini, anakuambia give me the PIN of the company and password, na uko kwa ofisi, au utafanya nini?
Oh, umesahau.
Utasema umesahau, utaona.
Yeah.
The kind of my accountant I have, ajui PIN of ya kampuni, ajui password. Si ati ujui, ni vile umeiweka in autosave. Each time,
yes.
And it has happened to me. So I have to ningoje like 10 minutes ifike kwa office.
Okay.
Utafuta kwa kitabu mahali umeandika, so it is good to memorize the PIN. Me, I have like 10 pins na password zote, so unazimemorize because unatumia every time una log in nayo naweka, then it stick. So ukisha log in kwa iTax, you come to the return section, then file return hapo. So once you run in a file return, you get the only selection which you need to select is the tax obligation. So the tax obligation here is the VAT. Then you click next. So all these field, the field here is that the type of filing is the original, and then this other side will be auto-filled. So what you only need to do is to download this auto-populated VAT return.
Okay.
So click download, it comes in a zip file. So if you check the downloads here, download again. Yeah, so it's come here as a zip file. So you can see it comes in two sections. There is a VAT3, which is an Excel file we use to file the VAT, and also the CSV file. So the CSV file is where there is all auto-populated sales, purchases for exempt, zero rated, standard, all that. So
okay.
Maybe so you just need to let first create your folder ya training because take mix na ingine maybe. Yeah, let's create your training. Just move it later.
Okay.
So once you download this, what you do, you select the two, Control C to copy, and then put in your folder. So if you put in your folder, the first thing to do is to rename this VAT3. Because you can see it's telling us VAT3 returned, but at the end of it, we are having PIN. So what you can do, you just rename to know this was VAT3 for the month of, you can say for the month of March, April, May. You can use your own standard format so long as you understand this is for which month. For me, I normally use 2504 to represent the month of April. Another challenge is what is called the macro. There is this challenge called the macro in Excel. Ukishaifanya Excel ama bado hujafanya advanced Excel, you need to do the training ya Excel. Macro, ukidownload any Excel, this Excel imesetiwa as Excel. The type of a file is Excel file, but you need to change to allow the macro. So the macro is like the visual basic application. So unapata ukidownload this Excel, aina. So what you have to do is to click that Excel, right click, then go to the properties and enable that one. For example, we want to test this one before we enable so that you can see the challenges, the challenge which is there. If we open this Excel file, can see up here inatuambia, be careful. File from internet can contain virus unless you need to edit it saver to stay in a protected. So if I click enable, you can see another risk we are getting here. Say Microsoft has blocked macros from the running because the source of this file is untrusted. So the macro has been blocked. And if the macro has been blocked, you cannot be able to validate this Excel sheet. So if you go to the last section here of overdue, you cannot be able to validate. If I try to validate, you can see there the kind of a message I'm getting.
Yeah.
So if you don't know how to set this, you might end up the whole day trying to set that macro, but it's not going through. You have to change another computer. That's what most accountants they do. So what you only need to do, once you share save, you right click, you go to properties. And in properties, you get this section of a security down here, that these files came from another computer and might be blocked to help protect this computer. You say unlock. So you click this unlock, then click OK. So if you open now your Excel, then you can be able to validate. You can be able to validate. So ukiopen, you get, ukipata e-message, don't copy, then unachua your Excel is okay. Please don't copy or don't cut or paste any worksheet. So if you click OK, then if you go to the last section, section O, you can now be able to validate. You can see, you can be able to validate on errors only, which it is okay. So your VAT3 is okay. Your VAT3 is okay. But that one is the last step. So the first step is just to reconcile whatever it is in the cells auto-populated and what you have in the ledger, whether it is the same. So if you open this CSV, utapata we have 3 sections. We have section B of that VAT3, which is the customers with PIN. So we have the customers with the PIN and we have customers without PIN. So you combine in the same section. That's why here we have section B and section B also, customers with PIN and customers without PIN. So you'll open the list of the customers with PIN, which is this one. This is the list of the sales you submitted last month. Imekuwa iko kwa auto-populated.
Okay.
So they only populate the PIN, the name of the customer, the CU number or the serial number of the e-teams, and then the invoice date, the invoice number, description, and the net amount. This is the net amount. So what you only need to do is to take all this data and then do the reconciliation with your sales ledger. So if you copy this and this one, you realize this is not the total sales because these are the only customers with PIN. So we also need the customers without the PIN because these are all 10 sales. So we also need the customers without the PIN. We'll also open that. They are only 2. So I'll also copy this, put down here. So now I can get the total sales for the last month, which I just need to get the sum of is up to that point. So this is the total sales I have in my auto-populated. So if you can see, it is 1.46581. That is what it is there in auto-populated. What about the one I have in the system? If you come in the system, you have 1.42. You can see there is variance.
Yeah.
So this is what you have in auto-populated as the total sales, and this is